In the last movie, we created this profit summary query that gathered records for our report. Now it's time to start establishing the structure of the report itself. We'll do that by going to the Create tab and then choosing Report Design. Now the first thing we need to do is connect this report to the data source. So I'll go over here to the property sheet, and the report properties, I'll switch to the Data tab, and find the record source property. And using the drop-down list, I'm going to choose the profit summary query that we built in the last movie. Next, we need to set up our grouping and sorting levels. So I'll come over here to the ribbon and turn on the Group and Sort window. First, I want to take those records and group them based off of the year. So I'll add a group and choose Year. Now, all of the records that happened in the same year will get grouped together, and they'll get their own header. Next, within each year category, I want to group on the region name. So I'll go ahead and add another group down here, and I'll choose Region Name. Underneath each region name, I want to sort my states alphabetically. Let's go ahead and add a sort here, and we'll choose to sort by state name. Now for the year, I want to make sure that we're sorting it not from smallest to largest, but from largest to smallest, so that it goes reverse chronologically. Let's go ahead and close out the Group and Sort window, and we can start setting up the report design. I'm going to come over here first and make the report a little bit wider. I'm going to click here and drag it over to about the 7.5 inch mark there. Then I'm going to scroll down and grab the bottom of the detail section here and drag it up so it's all on one screen. Next, I want to add a title to my report. But you remember, if I add it into the page header section, it's going to appear at the top of every single page. What I want is a title that appears at the top of just the first page. So what I need to do is actually get rid of the page header and add a report header. To do that, I'll right-click on this bar, and I'll toggle off the page header footer sections. Then I'll come up to one of the bars again, I'll right-click, and toggle on the report header footer. That's going to add two new sections, the report footer down here and the report header up here. Now we're not going to use the report footer, so let's come down here and click and drag it up to get rid of it. Then I'll come into the report header section and make it a little bit bigger. Let's go ahead and change its background color. I'll click on it, go over here to the Format tab, and change the back color property here using the color chips to just white. Next, I'll add a label for the title. I'll come up here into the Controls group and grab a label control, and then click down here. The title for this report is going to be Profit Summary Report. I'll go ahead and press Enter, and then we can change its formatting. I'll come up here to the Format tab. I'm going to make it bold. I'm going to change the font color to black here, and I'm going to change its size to 18 points. Next, we can resize the text box. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and press down a couple of times, and then I'll press the right arrow key to make it wider. Then I can let go of Shift, and using the same arrow keys, just nudge it into position. And I'll go ahead and put it in the top left corner here. Next, I want to take a look at the properties for the other three sections. If I go ahead and click here, it'll activate the year header section, and I can see that over here. Now, one of the things I want to actually turn off is this alternating background color. So every time there's a second year, I don't want it to be a different color from the first one. So I'm going to change this alternating background color. I'll click over here, and I just from the drop-down list, I'm going to choose no color. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other two. I'll click on this one and change the alternating color to no color, and then the same in the detail section. We'll change that to no color as well. Now we can go ahead and start adding in the data fields. I'll come over here to the Design tab and turn on Add Existing Fields. We can go ahead and grab the year field and drag and drop it into the year header section. I'll go ahead and delete the label. It's going to be obvious that this is a year. And I'll select it, and we can format it to a bold font. I'll make it black, and I'll make it black, and I'll make it 14 point. Let's go ahead and use our arrow keys to nudge it into position. Again, I'll put it over here on the far left. Then we can go ahead and add in our region name header. I'll click on region name and drag and drop it into this section. Once again, I'll delete the label. This one I'm going to make a little bit wider, and I'm just going to format it to a bold font and a black color. Let's go ahead and use those arrow keys and get it all the way over to the left side again and make it flush with the other labels. I'm going to go ahead and make the region name header just a little bit bigger, and then we can go ahead and start adding in the fields into our detail section. So I'm going to grab the category and drag and drop it in the middle, the state name, drag and drop it over here on the left, and the profit, I'll drag and drop it on the right. Once again, I don't need a state name label. That'll be obvious what this data is, so I'll select it and delete it. I'll make the state name text box wider, and I'll just drag it up here and put it flush against the top of this detail section. Then I want to move the category and profit labels from the detail section up into the region name header, so they act as column headers. Let's go ahead and select this one here. I'll press Ctrl X to cut it. I'll click in the region name header section and press Ctrl V to paste it in. Now it's going to be over here in the top left corner, so let's go ahead and drag it over here to about right there. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this warning. I'll go ahead and click on this and choose Ignore Error. Then we'll do the same thing with the profit label. I'll select it, Control X, click up here, Control V. We'll drag it into position, and we'll dismiss this error here. Finally, we need to move these text boxes over here, and we'll line them up right below the labels. Now I know some of my product categories are long, so I'm going to select this category and make it wider here. And then I'm going to select it with the label above it by holding down the Shift key. We'll go to the Arrange tab, Size and Space to widest to make them the same width. We'll go ahead and do the same thing with this profit. I'll make it wider. I'll hold down the Shift key to select its associated label, Size and Space to widest. And then I'm just going to go to Align and make sure that they're aligned to the left edge of each other. Finally, I want to make sure that the label aligns directly on top of the data down here. Now, because this profit label is a text box and this profit down here is a numeric field, the numeric field is going to sort over here to the right, while the text is going to align over here to the left. So let's go ahead and change that. I'll go to the Format tab, and we'll force them both to be right aligned. At this point, we can collapse our detail section. I'll make it nice and tight here. And let's add one more element here. And now I want to add another element to my region name header so that I can demarcate some space. Let's go over here to the Design tab. And on the second row, I'm going to grab this line object here. I'll click on it once. I'm going to click just to drag out a line real quick. And then we'll put it into position. I'm actually going to move this region name box down 1 square. Then I'll select the line. I'm going to press it a couple times to the left to move it over, a couple times up to move it up to the top, so that it's flush against this region name header. Then I'm going to grab this handle over here on the far right and drag it all the way over here to the far right-hand side. Now with this line right up against this region name header, when I click off of it, you're actually not going to be able to see it anymore. So if I click off, you actually won't notice that it's there anymore. But if you need to get into it to edit it, you can sometimes just click on it and it'll highlight there. Okay, let's go ahead and scroll back over here to the left. And I want to add in one more section to this report before we finish it. I want to go ahead and add in a footer on the region name. So that way we can summarize some data across the regions. So in our report, we'll have the year broken out. Underneath the year, we'll have each region. And then within each region, we'll have a line for each state. At the bottom of that, before we go to the next region, I want to see the total profit for that whole region. So what we want to do is add up the profit from each state line. Let's go ahead and add in a region name footer to do that. I'll go ahead and open up the Group and Sort section. We'll go to the Group on Region Name. I'll press More. And then we'll choose Without a Footer section. I'll change that to With a Footer section. That adds this new section down here. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Let's switch to our property sheet. And I'll click down here in the footer to activate it. And once again, I'm going to turn that alternating back color to no color. But I'm going to change this background color to a gray color. So I'll click on the Build button. And I'll just pick a light gray color here. Now we need to add in a calculated text box. I'll grab a text box control here. I'll click down on the footer. And that'll add an unbound text box. It's not currently connected to data. So I'll go here to the Data tab. And we'll type in our formula. And this is going to be a simple formula, so I'll just type it in. It's going to be equals sum, open parentheses, open square bracket, and the word profit. We'll finish with a closing square bracket and a closing parentheses. That's going to add up all the values that appeared in the profit row for this region. Let's go ahead and press Enter. We'll format it a little bit. I'll go ahead and select it. We'll go up to the Format tab. Shape Fill, I'll change to Transparent. Shape Outline, I'll change to Transparent. And I'm going to click on this text box here. I'll double click on it. We're going to call this Total Profit. And I'm going to select both of these and just make sure they're nice and black. I'll click this button here. Now we can align this up underneath the other profit row over here. I'll make it a little bit wider. And I'll actually move the label back to the left a little bit, but I'll right align the text. Let's go ahead and tighten up our region name just a little bit here. And then I want to select each of these boxes, all these text boxes, the profit box, category text box, the state name box, region name, and year. I'll just shift click all of those. And we'll go to Shape Outline and press Transparent so they don't get boxes drawn around them. All right, let's check everything out. Let's go to the Home tab, go to the View menu, and choose Print Preview. So there's the start of our report. We have a nice title up here at the top. We have the year header that says 2014. We have the first region, which is Midwest. And then under the Midwest region, we have the states here. So the state of Illinois, and the categories, batteries, light bulbs, and grid tie inverters, and the total profit for each state in each year. If we scroll down here, we should find a calculation. So there's the total profit for each region. Finally, the last step, and probably the most important step, is to save our report. Let's go ahead and press the Save icon or press Control S, and we'll call this Profit Summary. So that's a great start on our report. We can always come back and tweak the design a little bit more and add other finishing touches. But the important thing is that the functionality is there. The records are being imported, grouped, and sorted in a way that is organized and easy to read. The next step is to connect the report to a form where the end user can make selections as to the year and categories that they'd like to see.